Good morning, my friends. It is Monday morning motivation once again. How's everybody doing this morning? Let's see here. This is going to be a fun one today, guys. We're going to have some fun with this. We already got 45 people watching. That is amazing. Thank you guys for being here. If you were wondering who this goofy guy in the Hawaiian shirt is, I'm Chris, better known as Chris Cooking Nashville here on YouTube. And I've lost about 130 pounds with keto and carnivore and just living this proper human diet lifestyle. It is amazing, not just the weight that I've lost, but all of the other metabolic issues that have completely reversed in my life. And now I spend my time talking about low carb, and I create recipes for people who are trying to transition to a low carb lifestyle or just want some extra special stuff for special occasions, celebrations. It's actually what we're talking about today. And we're going to have some fun, and we're going to dive into a bunch of this info. I have, I think, some really cool stuff for you guys and some great information. So if you are here, please drop it in the chat. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you can see and hear me all right. Unfortunately, the beautiful Ash Taylor, my wife, is busy and not able to make it today. She is handling some other stuff, and if you guys were here, I guess that was a couple of weeks ago. This is the last Monday Morning Motivation we did. I said that she, for the foreseeable future, may or may not actually be sitting in on Monday mornings because we just got a lot going on, and my wife is a very hardworking lady, and she also has an amazing story about her success with keto and carnivore type stuff. But she is handling all of the business things and the other just errands and various things on Mondays that we need to get done in this season of life. So she'll pop in from time to time when she can, but for now, it's just going to be me. So sorry you don't get to see the amazingly beautiful woman that is always by my side, but I'll do the best I can to make up for her not being able to be here by hopefully being funny, and we'll find out. I may or may not actually be able to, but we're going to try. So drop it in the chat. Let me know you guys can hear me and see me all right. And let's say hello to a few people. Let's see who we got here. We'll dive into our subject in just a minute. But brother Jeff Cox, one of our band members, very active band member, in fact, is here. He says, first, slammed again today. We'll listen while slacking off tonight. I love it, Jeff. I hope you have a great day. Hope you enjoy the replay when you come back. Also going to post some updates to the band. Everyone should join the band. It's a loving, comfy hangout for like-minded PhD peeps. Jeff, thank you so much. I agree. If you guys did not know, I have a private community on Mighty Networks called The Band, and the link for that Mighty Networks is in the description box, or it should be. If for some reason you don't see it down there, let me know, and I will make sure we have that link for you. But it's a private community. I do some private live streams. I put extra recipes in there. We support each other. I give you guys behind the scenes updates. I keep you informed of what's going on in the Chris Cooking Nashville world. You're the first to hear about when I'm filming new things or see my recipe experiments, everything. So it is a fun place over there. And it just keeps the lights on. It keeps things going. I could not do what I do without my band members, and I love you guys so much. You guys are awesome. So, and Jeff is over there sharing all kinds of incredible success stories. So if you want to hear some really cool stories from a man who is an example of how you gently and kindly preach the PhD lifestyle to other people to help save them, not to beat them up, to help encourage them. He's a great example of how you do that, and we're very, very blessed to know Jeff, have him as a friend and a band member. So good morning, Jeff. Hope you enjoy the replay. Carrie is here. Good morning, Carrie. Good to see you, my friend. Says, this Saturday I have a non-scale victory. Two of them. One is my eye exam that I hadn't had in 6 years. Didn't change much. Oh, that's carnivore. Also, at the first check, got a chest freezer. I love that, Carrie. That's fantastic. Congrats, my friend. There is my mom. Mom in Nashville in the house, listening on low volume from ISS. Hello to all. Good to see you, Mom. Mom in Nashville and Pop in Nashville are going to be coming down through Nashville here shortly, and we're hopefully going to get some pictures. I'm going to put them in my cookbook we're working on. So, Lind, 22Q Cat is here. Hi, all, on this wonderful Monday morning. Good to see you, Lynn. Lynn is an OG. She has been here with me since basically the very beginning. Just could not do this without Lynn. She's amazing. Doing it wrong, Lewis Stone. Hello, brother Lewis, another band member. Howdy, all y'all. Good to see you, Lewis. Glad you are here. And there is one of our rock star moderators, Janelle. Good morning, Janelle. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Andy, hey, howdy, hey. How's the band family doing today? I hope things are going well for every one of you. Anne, I hope you're doing well also. Anne is, of course, also a member of the band. And Janelle says, let's all hit those like and subscribe buttons. Yes, please. Thank you so much. That tells the YouTube algorithm that this is important, and we appreciate you very, very much. Auntie is here, another Rockstar moderator. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Auntie. How are you feeling today? How you doing? It's good to see you. Let's see. And everybody's saying hello to everybody. There is Brian. Good morning, Brian. Says, good morning, Chris and everyone. Good to see you, brother. And there's Karen at Low Carb Spin. Hi, all. Hello, Karen. Hope you're having an amazing day. Auntie says, oh, happy National Coffee Day. I will be celebrating all day long. Yes, Auntie loves her coffee. I have already had mine today. Andrew Lee is here. Hello, Andrew. Good to see you, my friend. And there's Donna Pope. Hi, Donna. Sherry Nevada Pup in the house. Good morning, CCN fam. Good to see you, Sherry. The Chromosome Carnivore. Hello, Chris. Good to see you, my friend. How are you? There's Brother Dennis, another member of the band. Hi, everyone, from Newport, Tennessee. Dennis is a wonderful brother in arms here and has some amazing success that he's been sharing as well. So, guys, we have such a great community. Kelly is here. Hi, Kelly. And the beautiful Maritza is here. Hi, Maritza. Good to see you. There's my good buddy Dustin from Keto Simple. Good morning, Chris Cook in Nashville and friends. Good to see you, brother. How are you? And Rick Charger Mopar is here. We've got Elizabeth. Hello to you guys. Anna is here. Good morning, Anna. Sing It. I love that name. Interested to see/hear the angle you're coming from. Howdy from Chicago. Well, it's good to see you in Chicago, and thank you for tuning in. This is going to be an interesting one today. Jay Ennis is here. Good morning, Chris from Idaho. Good to see you, my friend. Marie is here. Marie from Michigan. Hi, Marie. And Elizabeth. Hi from Indiana. Oh, what part of Indiana, Elizabeth? I'm from Indiana. Beth Clark. Hello from Kentucky. Hi, Beth. Danita, hello, watching from Indianapolis. Good to see you. And Brian says, you go 130 pounds. That is great. Yes, 130 pounds, and I got more to go, and I'm working on it, and I'm actually seeing some success. I'm going to be talking with you guys a little bit about that before the end of the day. So, Brian says, I'm loving your shirts. Well, thank you, Brian. I love these shirts. I used to wear these all the time, so... let's see. Lynn says, tell Ash we love her. We'll see her Wednesday evening. Yes, if you guys did not know, the first Wednesday every month, we do a live stream on Ash's channel, Ash Taylor Country, where we do music called Ash Wednesdays. Go to Ash Taylor, just like it sounds, ASHTAYLOR, ashtaylor.com, and you can find all her social medias, all her info, and a whole bunch of other stuff. She's got a lot of cool things over there, and we were actually working on a music video yesterday. She's going to be releasing a new music video coming up, so you guys keep an eye out and make sure you're following. Let's see. Janelle says, if we can't have Ash, can we see Mel? Mel is with Ash right now, but maybe one of these days I'll get her in here for you guys again. Kathy is here. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. We've got Tammy. Hello, Tammy. And Ann. Happy Monday. Greetings from Central Alabama. Good to see you, Ann. There's Lynn Reed. Good morning, Chris and all from North Texas. Good to see you, Lynn. Let's see. Just making sure I'm not missing anybody, and then we're going to jump in because I think this is a really interesting subject, guys. Cheryl is here. Good morning, Cheryl. And Elizabeth from Lafayette. Good to see you, Elizabeth. There is Denise. Hi, Denise. Good to see you. And Montana is here. Hi from Idaho. And I'm down 60 pounds in 1 year. Good for you, my friend. Congrats. Rock on. You get a light show for that one. That's fantastic. The beautiful Holly Springer. Morning, friends. I'm listening, but not in the chat since I can't walk on the treadmill and type at the same time. Well, that's all right. You go get your treadmill in. That's amazing. Congrats on the drive to keep taking care of yourself. Elizabeth is here. And I think I got everybody there. So let's talk about what we are talking about today, guys. This, oh boy, guys, this one is a big one. This is going to probably upset some of the keto police, and I think I hear them. Yeah, the keto and carnivore police are coming. And you know what? That's all right. I'm ready for it. I am here able to handle the keto and carnivore police, and I think this is a really important subject. So we are talking about why food is not just fuel. And to be perfectly honest, and this is my opinion, so don't anybody come for me. There's no medical advice. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm telling you my real world lived experience and what I think about this. And truthfully, I'm telling you guys today why I think this idea that food is fuel and you need to get over your desire to use food as celebration or cultural things or whatever, I think that's actually harmful to people who are trying to change their life and become successful. Maybe you can eventually get there, but I don't think people who are struggling need to be beaten up and told food is fuel, not entertainment. And I have a reason for this, and we're going to talk about this. So, my hypothesis, my opinion, what I'm saying, and you guys feel free to drop in the chat how you feel about this. What I believe is that food is not just fuel. Food is necessary to also have an element of culture and entertainment. And we're going to talk about why. So, people in this space, in keto and carnivore, they love to say food is just fuel. And they like to use it, honestly, as a way to beat people up. And they like to talk about how, people are failing and what's wrong with you? Food is just fuel. I've had people come after me in the comment section because I just create recipes telling me food is fuel. Stop complicating it. What's wrong with you? And the problem is that the world of keto and carnivore, the community is its own worst enemy in this particular case. Because if you want to spread this message, you have to make it hopeful for people to realize they can actually do this. Because beating people up is not a way that you can ever inspire people to change. Not only the people, but also the system, the food system, the government, big pharma, like all of these things. You want to change the system? Being a jerk is not going to do it. So when people do this whole food is fuel, why are you complicating it, get over it, blah, 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 blah. Not only is that not helpful, I think it's a flat out lie. I don't think that's in any way real. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's even appropriate. And here's why. I'm going to prove this to you guys. So the world of keto and carnivore, especially some of the real dogmatic sides of it, they love to dive in to anthropological research and the historical records and talk about, 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, even longer, what would humans have been eating? What would humans have been doing? We've been doing this all this time. That must be the way we do it. So this is why it's right that we do this whole thing. Okay. So let's take that. Let's say that, 5 to 10,000 years ago, we had this all figured out. So if we were doing things then, we know it should be helpful for our body because it's written into our DNA. This method of using food is written into our DNA. Stick with me. Humans have always used food for joy and ritual and entertainment. And the issue is not doing that. The issue starts when you get engineered junk. So here's the thing, and this is what's going to make the keto police and the carnivore police all lose their minds, okay? And that's fine. Let them lose their minds. It'll honestly, they'll click on this video and they'll yell at me in the comments and it'll help the algorithm. So there we go. So the issue only starts when we have engineered junk. So let's talk about this. First of all, so this is all historical record, anthropological record. All of this information is verifiable based on archaeology, anthropology, historical writings, everything. Let's go all the way back to Mesopotamia, 3000 BC. So that we're talking over 5,000 years ago. Okay? The first written beer recipe was found on Sumerian tablets from 3000 BC. Beer was offered to the gods and enjoyed in festivals. Okay? It had nothing to do with fueling your body. It was used as a religious ritual and a celebratory thing to consume. Okay? Egypt, 2500 BC. Tomb paintings from 2500 BC show feasts with food and music and dancing. Clearly, that food was not just fuel. Okay, Greece, 700 to 400 BC. The symposium was drinking and feasting with music, poetry, and philosophy. Rome, circa 100 CE. Lavish banquets went for hours, and the satirist Juvenal mocked overindulgence, and entertainment was the focus, not survival and fuel. Okay? So, ancient feasts and rituals. Let's talk about religious and cultural celebrations. How about the Passover, circa 1300 BC and onwards, biblical times? The Seder meal was food as remembrance and ritual. It was not just for survival. Whatever they had was used as a remembrance ritual. What about the Christian Eucharist in the first century? Bread and wine equaled a spiritual connection. Now, I'm not recommending you eat bread and wine per se. I'm saying that this is what we have used this for. All right, what about Ramadan Iftar? Breaking the fast with communal meals was meant for joy and bonding, and still is for people who observe Ramadan. Native American, the first salmon ceremony, honored the salmon's return, and food was used as a sacred celebration. Okay? So there's all this religious and cultural celebration that we see with food going back thousands of years. And here's the thing. These are the things we have record of. It's very easy to interpret that probably long before we had historical records that we at least still have, that this stuff was probably going on as well. Let's talk about food as status and entertainment in human culture. Medieval Europe, 1000 to 1500. Castle feasts with whole roasted animals, sugar sculptures. This was a spectacle. It was not a necessity to have these things. It was meant as a status symbol. The French court in the 1600s, Louis the, let's see, it was 10, the 14th, Louis the 14th's Versailles feasts. There's so many Louis back there. Louis the 14th's Versailles feasts, okay? Daily entertainment and power display. Now, why would humans see food as a power display being used by royalty to show off their status if the idea of food is something more than just fuel never existed prior to that? So now we have all of these historical records. This all talks about how food was a celebration. It's a religious element. It's a status symbol. It's so much more than fuel when it comes to our human culture. And this is not just over the last 200 years. We're talking thousands of years. It is built into our culture and our DNA from the very beginning of our historical records that food was used not just as fuel, but when there was an abundance of it, we used it as a celebration, as a cultural element, as part of what makes us human and makes us different than the beasts that roam the world and just eat whatever is in front of them without any other thought. This is what makes us different. It's part of what is in our brains that is different from every other being on the planet. And if you share the faith that I have, this is something I believe the Creator, our good Lord, put in us that makes us different. It is part of what makes us created in His image. If you do not share my belief on that and where we come from, that's fine. You're still welcome, and I love you no matter what. But my outlook on that is that we were created in God's image, and that is part of what makes us different. It is why, as humans, we are different than the animals, because there are many things about us being created in God's image that separate us, and one of the things that's there is our understanding of food as more than just a fuel. We're not animals. We don't operate on instinct. We operate on thought and culture and experience and our ability to bond and work with each other and have tribes and these things. That's a really important element of what makes us human. Food is not exempt from that. So we have all of that. This has been going on for thousands of years. And if you deny that and you say food is just fuel, get over it, and you beat people up for not doing something that is against the very culture that has been bred into us for thousands of years, you are cutting people off from the very thing that makes them feel attached to the human race and to feel like they are part of something. You are trying to take away the humanity and say, treat yourself like a science experiment and an animal. And I'm not saying you can't get to a point where you don't need a bunch of food at celebrations anymore, but to make that leap from this is what I've done my whole life to I'm trying to change my health, I need to do it right now, I'm a failure if I can't think of it this way. That leap to just beat people up for not immediately making that jump, it's asinine. It's just wrong. And this is where the keto and especially some of the carnivore community is its own worst enemy. And it's why we are destroying our own message in the low carb world. So let's talk about if all of that stuff exists, if food is celebration and entertainment and status and all of these things has existed for thousands and thousands of years in human culture, where did it go wrong? Because clearly, and I don't think any of us would argue this, clearly something is wrong, because look at what's happening to the health of the human race. This is where things went wrong. The sugar explosion between 17 and 1900, British sugar consumption went from 4 pounds, roughly on average, to 90 pounds per person per year. This is addiction, not celebration. So hang on to that. Addiction, not celebration. Hold on to that idea. In 1886, Coca-Cola was the first mass addictive food because it was sugar and coca leaf extract. So, this was sugar and cocaine. It was a drug. Then in the 1950s to the 1970s, we see a rise of processed food, TV dinners, snack foods. This is when they started marketing to kids. You see TV commercials, marketing food. We started seeing the rise of sugar being marketed to children who were getting addicted. What about bliss point research? In the 1970s to the 1980s, Dr. Howard Moskowitz engineered the perfect sugar, salt, and fat ratios to hijack dopamine. And you want to know where all of the addictive processed food recipes have come from. That bliss point research was the beginning of everything. This is why through the 80s, more foods were starting to be developed that were processed, sugary, fatty, salty junk in bags and boxes. And by the 90s, when I was growing up, all of this stuff was all over TV, and they'd come out with the new version of this, new Doritos, new Pringles, new cereals, new candies. All of this stuff was coming out, and they'd have TV commercials in bright colors, and they were marketing this to kids. So all of this stuff has been engineered to create addiction. And because it's an addiction, our celebration turned into addictive issues. So let's talk about some science here. Brain imaging shows that sugar lights up the same dopamine pathways as cocaine. Remember that Coca-Cola thing, the coca leaf and the sugar together? It's right from the very beginning they were combining these things. Okay? The NOVA classification from 2009 says ultra-processed foods are engineered products with additives and emulsifiers designed for craveability, not nourishment. So instead of worrying about nutrients nourishing our body, companies started thinking about the craveability of foods to keep you coming back for more and more and more so that they could hijack your brain and get you to pay money over and over and need more and more and more and more. And this is what turned using food as celebration into something unhealthy, because we started finding addictive foods to be the drug use element of our celebrations. It's not the food being only fuel that's the problem. It's the things we're addicted to because we're not eating food for celebration, we're using drugs for celebration. That's our problem. So, obesity tripled since 1975. The World Health Organization data shows obesity rates exploded after the industrial food system took over. Food didn't cause us to be fat because it was being used for celebration. Addictive, chemical-laden junk that was designed, not accidentally, intentionally designed to be addictive, that caused the explosion of obesity because that started to replace nourishing food in our celebration. It is not using food as a celebratory element that is the problem. It is the things you are putting in that food so that when you celebrate, you get addicted and you need more and more and more and more and more reasons to celebrate. And it's not entertainment and it's not celebration. It's not religious observance. It's not culture anymore. It's being an addict. That's the problem. And this is why the keto and carnivore world, in my opinion, is its own worst enemy. When you get the dogmatic people that do this, I'm going to beat people up and tell them to stop using food as celebration. You can't change thousands of years of culture by yelling at people and beating them over the head. It doesn't work. Do you know how many people come in my comment section, email me, message me, talk to me in person when they meet me, and they go, "Thank you so much for your recipes," because I felt like I was just eating the same thing over and over and over again. And I got so sick of just eating the same stuff that no one around me wants to eat, because we celebrate. We have birthday parties. We have holidays. We have a big family. I'm trying not only to feed me, but all of my kids and my husband and my brother and my whoever. They don't want to eat just meat. I'm trying to figure out, how do I participate in the cultural part of the celebration of these monumental things that happen in our lives, birthdays and holidays and religious observances and whatever. How do we celebrate? And how do we have food be part of what brings us together as a human race, as a tribe, as a family, as a whatever group, without harming our bodies? And that is why I make recipes. That's why these things exist. And you can tell me all day long that I'm stupid for doing it, but guess what? It's been happening since 3000 BC and probably before that. So if you want to tell me I'm an idiot for doing it, you're arguing with thousands of years of human culture and where we have come from historically and anthropologically, which is the exact same information that those dogmatic people use to support why this dietary approach we're taking of keto and carnivore is right in the first place. So isn't it interesting that we cherry pick the pieces of information from historical record that support what we think is right, and then we ignore the other pieces so we can beat people up and feel like we're better, we're elite, we're somehow more intelligent and more disciplined and more capable than those people around us who are struggling. And this is why I do what I do. And this is why I wanted to talk about this today. My buddy Dustin from Keto Simple is in the chat, and hopefully he's still watching. And I was on one of his live streams, and someone said using food as entertainment started with the industrial food system and the processed foods and the whatever. And I replied and I said, no, this goes back to biblical times and well before. You see, people are cherry picking pieces of information to push an agenda of food is fuel, and if you're not doing it the way I do it, you're wrong, it's your fault, you're struggling, you need to get over, blah, 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 whatever. which is interesting because that's the exact same thing that everybody criticizes people like Ansel Keys for doing. You cherry pick the data so that you can make it fit your belief system, not to prove the thing that's actually real. So when I see influencers and I see people in comment sections who are beating other people up and saying food is just fuel, I think they're ignorant of where human history actually comes from. And here's the thing: I don't need to be a doctor or a scientist or any of these other things and have all these lists of degrees to understand this. I can go look at the history of where food has come from. As a chef, I can go, well, why do recipes exist? If all we're doing is taking meat, cooking it, and eating it, or sometimes just cutting it off the animal and eating it raw, why did we ever start cooking food and coming up with recipes and write those recipes down in the historical record in the first place? If food is just fuel, none of that would have ever been necessary. If food is just fuel, we never would have seen ancient cultures writing down the things that they were creating or putting paintings on walls of all of the things that they are using to celebrate food and drink. This is a part of our human culture. It is built into our very DNA, into our psychology, into our culture, into everything that we do for the last at least 5,000 years, probably more. So I'm not saying that you should just go willy-nilly and celebrate every single thing and have all the junk in the world, and that's not in any way what I'm saying. This is where everyone is throwing the baby out with the bathwater when they say, food is just fuel, get over it. No, you're missing the point. Food is fuel, but it is also celebration. It is culture. It is vital to the existence of humanity. It is what makes us different than the animals. The problem is we need the information out there for the people who are struggling with this issue to understand why they're addicted, why the things they're celebrating with are not good choices. If you can go make a ribeye and use that as a celebration food, wonderful. That's what you should do, because that's what 5,000 years ago we would have done, most likely, right? We would have been, the hunt was successful. The tribe has a plethora of cuts to choose from. Let's feast and let's enjoy all of the meat and all of the wonderful things we have. It's not using the food as celebration that's the problem. It's the addictive junk. But the problem now is so many people have trained themselves psychologically that celebratory food looks like certain things. It's cakes and cookies and pies and casseroles and I mean like all of these things that we now make. So what I'm doing, I feel like I'm beating my head against a wall when dogmatic people come in the comment section. What I'm doing is I'm trying to reframe what addicted people see as the ingredients that are inside the food they are already trained psychologically to use for celebration. We change the ingredients so we can change the metabolic impact. And as we back away from the addiction to the bliss point foods, the junk, the carbs, the sugar, all of the grains, these things, as we back away from that and we relearn what our body really needs to nourish itself while still feeling like we recognize the visual, flavorful foods that we're using, it still looks like what we're used to, but it's better for us metabolically. Even if it's not 100% ideal, it's way better. That helps us start to recover how we're supposed to feel. And when you open the eyes of someone who's addicted to what can happen in their body, how good they can feel, and how they can truly get away from the big food corporations and big pharma and the lobbying groups of the government that tell them to eat all of this stuff that is scientifically not good for them, their diabetes gets better or even goes away. Their weight goes down. Their pain disappears. Like all of these things. And yes, we can refine it and make it better and better and better. But if we get so lost in the midst of food is fuel, not entertainment, and if you're not eating meat, salt, and water, you're wrong and you're an idiot, and how dare you? You're so stupid because you're addicted. If we don't get past that, keto and carnivore is going to always look like a niche cult that abuses people and elevates itself above everyone else in the world who is struggling and suffering. One of the things that I think makes vegan so successful as a marketing plan, I'm not saying it's good for you. I love my vegan brothers and sisters, but I'm not saying vegan is good for you. But the thing that makes the idea as a movement so successful from a marketing standpoint is, man, they make some of that food fun. Oreos are vegan. When you tell people you can do this and it's not only better for the planet and better for you, but it's also fun, that is a trifecta from a marketing standpoint to make people think this is something they want to try. So my challenge to the keto and carnivore world with all of this is, let's get over ourselves and let's start realizing that food is not just fuel. It is also culture and entertainment. And let's figure out how to make keto and carnivore cool and fun so we can save people from their addictions rather than sit here and boast about how great we are for having it figured out, because that's nothing but pride and arrogance. So let's get over that and let's reach out and help people who are actually struggling, and let's figure out how we kindly teach people that food can be fuel and celebration, and it can all be done in a healthy way by getting away from the junk that is ruining our metabolic health and causing all of the various health crises we see around the world. Let's instead fuel our bodies with all of the right stuff, and let's have a damn good time doing it. There's nothing wrong with enjoying it. And this is the thing that blows my mind. When you talk with someone who is very dogmatic, especially in the carnivore world, there's this group in keto and carnivore, and I think the carnivores are a little bit louder, and it's a small part of the community, but it's a loud part of the community, that they love to harp on how everyone else isn't doing it right and cleanly enough. And the thing that I find so interesting is they don't really care whether they're helping anybody. They just want to insult people who don't do it as perfectly as them. And they think that because they somehow know this now, everyone should know this now. And if you don't know it like them, well, then that just means you're stupid. And the number of people that do that I go, but you didn't know either at one point. Did somebody badger you and insult you into knowing this information, or did they just teach you? Because I'm pretty sure they just taught you. And the fact that you're now using the information someone else taught you and weaponizing it against other people who don't yet know or who are struggling, that's kind of a despicable human behavior. And honestly, it's the humanity element of things that's the problem with these communities. And so if we really want to change the world and we really want this movement to be something more that doesn't just rise and fizzle out and disappear, we need to behave better. And we need to understand you cannot use meat to beat 5,000, maybe 10,000 plus years of culture and human interaction out of who we are. You cannot beat that psychology out of somebody with a steak. It doesn't work that way. And until we figure out how to change the messaging to be a little bit more like the way the vegan marketing is, where it's like, hey, this is not only good for the planet and good for your body, but it's enjoyable, it's fun, you can have all of the great things you love and all this kind of stuff. Until we figure that out, we will never expand beyond the group where we already are. You're never going to hit the mainstream as keto and carnivore and really get things to truly accept it. It's a big grassroots movement, I agree, but we cannot take it to a huge global level far beyond where it already is until we realize that we have to help people along the way, not kick them while they're down. So food is not just fuel. Food is also entertainment, but it needs to be the right thing. So let's reframe this myth, in my opinion. Humans have celebrated food for 5,000 plus years without obesity epidemics. Okay, maybe more, maybe 10,000, maybe even more. We don't know. Depends on how far back you could find records. But for at least 5,000 years, humans have celebrated with food without obesity issues. The crisis only began post 1950 with the ultra processed foods and especially that bliss point. That's the problem. Celebration is not equal to compulsion or addiction. You have to separate those two. Celebration is not the same as compulsion and addiction. And if you make them the same, you are downplaying what is important to all of the millions of people who really need help. Real food feasts equal thriving. Engineered junk equals addiction. So pick the real food and celebrate. Don't use the engineered junk to further the addiction. It's as simple as that. We can celebrate with food. We can use carnivore recipes. Who cares? But this idea that food should be looked at as just fuel, honestly, I think most people who are really good at that, it's because they're really terrible cooks. Sorry, that's what I think it is. And here's the thing, even the people that say that, they're really hypocritical if you think about it, because do they take their steak and just eat it raw? No, they usually want to cook it and they want to salt it. Well, why? I mean, you could just eat the salt by itself. You could just eat the steak raw by itself. Well, it tastes better when you cook it properly. Tastes really good when you put it on a grill and you get some smoke on it, right? And what's funny is I hear really dogmatic carnivores talk about, oh, this burger patty the way that I do it, or this steak the way that I do it, I put butter over it. You've never tasted anything like that in your life. First of all, yes, I have. I'm a chef. But second of all, if you care about how it tastes, then you care about your food being good just as much as everybody else. You're just more strict with the ingredients you use. It's the exact same thing. You're just upset that other people aren't already there. That's just arrogance and pride. So, food has always been more than fuel, for at least as long as we really have record of. It's culture, it's joy, it's connection. This is why the biblical concept of breaking bread together is so important, and don't think we should be having bread. That's more of a survival food, but biblical times that would have been really necessary because they didn't have all of the food abundance we do now. Break carnivore bread together, right? The problem is not the food as entertainment. The problem is fake food that is made to hijack our brain and cause addiction, and using that as the entertainment. That's the problem. So what I want to do is I want to call everyone in this community who watches this to reclaim real food, real tradition, and real joy. And yes, use food as entertainment. Just pick the right ones and don't use the addictive junk to do it. I think that's about all I have to say about that. Looking at my notes, just making sure I didn't miss anything. But yeah, I really think that is something that has been missed for a long time in this community. Food is culture. Junk is addiction. But food is culture. Real food is culture, and that is part of our celebration. That is part of what we do. And if you deny that that exists, you will push away 99% of the world. So this kind of goes back to a thing that I know a lot of people have wanted me to make a t-shirt. Do you want to help people, or do you want to be a douche? If you want to help people, admitting that food can be really celebratory as long as it has the right stuff, that's a really important part of helping people. So do you want to help people, or do you want to be a douche? I think that's my preaching for the day. Let's go into the comments. Let's see what you guys have to say, because I think this is a really this is a really important thing to understand. And I can't tell you how many people come to me and thank me for not being dogmatic and beating them up when they're not doing carnivore perfectly, because everywhere else they've gone, that's the treatment they get. And they're told food is fuel and get over it and what's wrong with you. And I mean, I had someone that left a comment on one of my reels that I was talking about my recipes and people being bored on carnivore. And they said, it's not boring, they're just stupid. Come on, guys. Like, are we really that callous and hateful as human beings? I mean, I know the world can be a really awful place sometimes, but shouldn't we in this community be the difference? Shouldn't we be the light at the end of the tunnel for people who are struggling? And shouldn't we care enough about people to meet them where they are and one step at a time figure out how to help them along? Somebody has an injury, we don't tell them just get up and walk. We help them heal. And that takes time and it takes work. And yeah, you got to do some rehab and you got to like work on that injury to make it better. We don't expect them to just jump and run because we can run. We help them figure out how to get there one step at a time. Okay, I'm going to stop preaching and I'm going to see what's going on in the comments here, because I'm sure there's got to be at least one person here who's triggered by what I'm saying, because I know this is not the trending popular commentary on this subject. And I think that's why it was so important that this be talked about, because I think that this is really important for us to realize that not everyone looks at this the same way. Just getting caught up with where we were. Let's see. There was Lynn, there was Andrew. Okay, we're getting back here. Gosh, there's a lot of comments. There's a lot of you guys watching today. We're at almost 70 people. Make sure you've hit that thumbs up for me if you guys are here. Really appreciate it. And just like Maritza says, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate that. Let's see. I like this. My mom says fairy tales really are true. There is a magic bean that can be brewed into an elixir that magically turns me into a human every morning. Yep, that's right. It's National Coffee Day, by the way, if you guys are just tuning in and not understanding what that's about. So, Sing It says, I agree, and you haven't even started. And there's our friend Kara. Hi, Kara. How are you? Brian says, I shared this with my ketogenic woman group the other day. Non-scale victory. I saw my feet for the first time since 1994. I didn't bend over. I just looked down. Had a great day. Brian, congrats. Rock on, brother. That's amazing. Gosh, I'm so proud of you guys when you come here and you share your victories. Be them scale or non-scale victories. It's all victories, and this is why. Right? Elizabeth says, I agree. Food is so many things. Absolutely. Lynn says, people getting nasty that you actually help us with your wonderful recipes as I get ready to have your mashed potatoes for lunch. Thank you every day, Chris. Lynn, you're very welcome. And I agree. You know, and here's the deal. There's people out there that are going to do that. So fine. We just have to intentionally be different. If we want to reach and help people, we cannot allow ourselves to get sucked in to that approach. We can't be that way. We have to be different. That's why it's so important to me. Janelle says, I'm sure our ancient ancestors enjoyed regaling each other with stories of the day around a fire as they ate meat. Meat can be social too. Absolutely. IO421 is here. Not just fuel, fatty acids, but also matter, amino acids, cholesterol. Yeah, from a scientific standpoint, sure. Absolutely. Dustin says they worked all day just to get food and to build shelter. So when they gathered to eat, it was always a celebration. Absolutely. And Deanna is here. Hello, Deanna. Says, totally right, Chris. Food is fuel, yes. But food is also shared joy, nutrition, culture, power of royalty, and way more. And I totally agree. Anne says, I totally agree with you, Chris. There is a psychological importance to food that we humans cannot ignore. Absolutely. Let's see. IO421, why can't it be just some king pointing at his food and going, look at how much fuel I got? Still fuel at the end of the day. Oh, I see your point. Fair enough then. Yep. Karen is here. Hi, Chris from Dixon. Hey, Karen. Good to see you. IO421 says, I just don't like affirming someone's irrationality if possible. Well, I would challenge you. What irrationality would you be affirming by calling food more than fuel? Now, if you say to them, hey, that's great that you are eating all of that processed sugar, that would be affirming a bad habit. That's not their irrationality. The irrationality would be going to the food corporations and saying, hey, all of this stuff that metabolically is unhealthy for you is great. Let's keep doing that. That would be affirming irrationality. Supporting someone in using human culture while using simultaneously proper ingredients, that's not irrationality. And 5,000 plus years of history proves that that's not irrationality. Hugo is here. The main goal of food is nutrition and energy, but that doesn't mean we didn't enjoy it or have celebrations. The most ancestral tradition is cooking and eating an animal as a group around a campfire. Absolutely. So again, it's not the celebration that's the problem. It's what you're using. Deanna says, people left their tier 1 critical thinking behind and started digging at each other. Yes, critical thinking has become a very rare thing on social media these days. But that's why it is so important that we as a community in the low carb space, why we set the example. Not beat others up for not doing it. Set the example, and we encourage other people to be part of it. Brother Barry Weems in the house. Good to see you, Barry. Brian says, watching how they use food in movies to move the plot, good or bad. In life, it is used for good, or it's weaponized to move their agenda. Absolutely, because it's more than just a fuel. Deanna says, yes, because World War II required women to run the factories and society changed. Secondary pressure left over from the wars. Yeah, there's a lot of influence in our culture that came from things like war and all these other things. When soybean oil from China used for fertilizer and lamp oil became oil for machines, then put in Crisco. Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Auntie. Such great wisdom. I hope so. Let's see. Processed food and addictive drugs. Interesting and true observation. I agree. Yes, but the problem isn't marketing, as people are free to not buy X or Y. The issue is government protecting fraudsters and subsidizing evil nutrition, science, and education as a favor to big food. I agree. That's not part of this discussion about celebration, but yes, there is a lot of marketing and government stuff. All of this plays into what this is. But regardless of where that is all coming from, we need to be able to put a stop to that. And if you want to change that, you need to get into actually moving the needle on all of this. And that's going to take work. That's not something we can just do overnight. And it's certainly not something we can badger people into. Janelle, my husband, is one of the I can't eat only meat group. Your recipes are a lifesaver to keep him from eating crap. Absolutely. And that's the thing. You can't look at someone like that and beat them over the head and make them do it. Culture is different from genetics. Yes, it is, but they're also both tied together because genetically our brains are capable of having culture, and it's part of what our genetics can do that animals can't. So they are they are very important. Human genetics supporting carnivore, not culture. Well, no, the culture does too. Because if you have culture going back 5 to 10,000 years or even more, carnivore is coming from that time period. So our culture was built on carnivore because the fuel being meat and being good for our brains is part of what lets our brains develop culture. They're intertwined. You can't pull them apart. One is not the same as the other, but they work hand in hand. That is what makes us human. Rick says, I have never pushed the carnivore diet. That's great. That's wonderful. I think it's great to represent it and promote it. Pushing can turn into a big problem. But promoting and kindly setting an example is a great thing to do. Rick, you're a great example of how the carnivore diet can just be such a great thing for people long term. I love that. Auntie says, my blue wrench and I can't tolerate food bullies. Just saying. I appreciate it, Auntie. I don't tolerate them either. And Dustin says, the Industrial Revolution isn't to blame. The people who choose what foods to make and how that industrial application is applied is to blame. Absolutely. It's the people behind it that turn into so much more. Roger Brown is here. Good morning, my friend. How are you? It's good to see you. The Indecisive Wig Wearer, that's a fun name. I like that. Good to see you, my friend, says, agreed. And Deanna's right. So many factors are involved in this issue. Let's see. IO, just because humans have been irrational culturally for 12,000 years doesn't mean food isn't just fuel from an objective standpoint. IO, if you want to argue with every human that's existed for over 12,000 years because you think you have a better outlook on it and a less irrational approach than everyone else, by all means, feel free to live in your delusion. When the prodigal son returned, they celebrated with a fatted calf, not broccoli. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they celebrated and they used food as celebration. Dennis, I have fond memories of family and friends getting together for cookouts. We'd play games, swim and talk while sharing food, birthday parties, etc. Absolutely. And that is part of who we are. And even if this is the thing, and this goes back to what IO was just saying and why I was like, if you want to live in delusion that you're smarter than every human that's existed for the last 12,000 years, great. That's up to you. But this is the problem. Whether or not our brains should be this way is irrelevant. They are this way. So, should we celebrate this way? I don't know. That's an existential question that, I mean, you want to go down an existential quandary. Like, should we have celebration as part of human culture? Great, go be a philosopher. Regardless of whether we should or should not, that is the way humans are. So do you want to change it and make it better and help the human race? Or do you want to sit on a mountaintop and point fingers and say everyone is irrational for doing it and isolate yourself in your own arrogance? It's kind of your choice, one or the other. And I think Dennis is making a great point here of this is the way we are. I'm this way, Dennis is this way, everyone is this way. You can pretend all day long that you didn't grow up in a world this way, but you still did. And we have to figure out how to help people based on the world we live in, not the world we think we should live in. Let's see. Maritza says the recipes help us make celebrations and fuel. Your recipes have helped me to make better choices in my diet to get away from my addiction to sugar. And that's what we do. I celebrate having proper fuel. I'm pretty sure that's exactly the point that I made. Angus, you are exactly right. Food is not just fuel. Just because it's essential doesn't mean it should be dull, repetitive, or unimaginative. Absolutely. Because our psychology, which is what makes us human, is where creativity comes from, which is why animals eat, sleep, mate. And humans eat, sleep, mate, but also create. It's what makes us different. Deanna says to IO, it's just a very narrow view without taking in that we're the higher life form. Absolutely. And that right there is the key. Auntie has to go to work. Auntie, have a wonderful day. I hope your day at work is fantastic. We love you very much. Thank you for being here. Jolene is here. Thank you, Chris Cooking Nashville. Jolene, you're so welcome. Thank you for being here. And Dustin says, we can shame all of those who are not perfect carnivore or keto and help thousands, or we can be there for everyone where they are and make their eating habits percentage points better and help millions. And this is where Dustin and I really understand why we get along so well and why we work together, why this matters so much. Because, great, I can help 1,000 people, with dogmatic carnivore. Sure. Actually, most of the time, I eat very simply. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But when I create recipes, it's not because I need recipes to not go off the rails, which is what I think a lot of people online think I'm doing. I create recipes because there are millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people. I mean, there's what, 7 billion plus people in the world? Who knows how many of them? Who need help, who are struggling, who are not metabolically healthy. I don't know how many there are. But if I can't do something that can get in front of them on their computer, on their TV, in a book, however you reach people, and catch their interest to convince them to pay attention long enough to maybe find the answers they need, then it doesn't matter how great what I do is, because I'm not helping anybody. I'm just wasting my life at that point. And I'm wasting the talents that I have. And that's what people miss. Let's see. IO, I think you need to look at the world around you with a little bit more understanding and kindness, because you keep saying irrationality, but I don't really know what irrationality you're talking about. And truthfully, saying be kind, just don't affirm irrationality. What's the line? What are you looking at as other people being irrational? Because you keep talking about being self-critical and logical and all this kind of stuff. Great. How does that help someone who doesn't see what you see? You're still expecting everyone to look at it like you do, which again goes right back to isolating yourself on a mountaintop in your own arrogance. I'm sorry, it just is. That's not how you help people. Tammy is here, says, so true. It's so good to find healthy alternatives to celebrate. We did a meat and cheese house instead of a gingerbread house. It was fun for the kids and family and still healthy. I love that. Chris has made so much more sense. That is exactly what I needed to hear. I love that. And Patricia is here. Grandma Patricia. How are you, Patricia? She says, who wouldn't love cheeseburger soup? I mean, I think it's pretty good. Dustin makes a great point. The problem is we need people to come and stick around. Making them feel less than is not a good way to do that. Exactly. So again, do you want to be helpful or do you want to be a douche? Because if you want to be helpful, get over yourself. This is why Dustin and I really just love supporting each other in doing this, because we're trying to help people. It doesn't matter how logically right or wrong or better for you or scientifically something is perfect. It's completely irrelevant. If you're not going to help people in the process, and if you're just going to push people away, then what you do honestly doesn't matter. And at the end of your life, no one will remember you were here, because you will not have made a difference in anyone's life. So, yeah. Janelle makes a good point too. Unfortunately, not everyone is rational, and even those that are still prefer what their taste buds like instead of healthier choices. Right. So instead of fighting the system, appeal to it, but use better things to do it and change it from the inside out. That's the way you do it. Dennis says, I'm in a great community and we love to get together for cookouts, dinners, other celebrations. Food is a part of it, but only part of it. There is usually food I can eat. Absolutely. And imagine if we could change the culture bit by bit to where all of that stuff, which makes us human, is still there, but it's filled with better choices of what foods we use. That's how you change the world. That's what the vegans do with their marketing. They make it fun while claiming that they're changing the world and your health at the same time. That's how we do it. That's why so many vegan recipes exist, and vegan bacon and vegan meat and all this stuff. And I'm not promoting any of that. I don't like any of that. I don't think any of that's good for you. That's just my view. But their marketing of it, which is how they've gotten such a huge movement, that is something we can learn from. Susie says, some people suck. I agree, Susie, they do. But you know what? I try to love those people too. You mean I physically slap someone with my turkey leg or lamb chop, lol. Oh wait, I don't hit people anymore. Absolutely. Hope is here. Thank you, Chris. Well, you're welcome, Hope. Thank you for being here. Dustin says, we got here with small incremental changes to our dietary guidelines. It's taken decades. It's probably going to take longer to regain the ground lost. I agree. And not only are we fighting that battle, which is going to be slow, we're fighting against large corporations that have a lot of control and a lot of money. It is going to take every one of us working together to make a difference. And that's why we cannot be crazy and look like a cult that fights in all of our little factions about, no, it needs to be this meat, salt, and water. No, you need to include this. No, you have to have veggies. No, you can't have veggies. That needs to stop if we want to make a difference. You got to quit treating everyone else like the enemy if you want to make a difference. Let's see. Dustin makes a great point. It's hard to get people to change what they've always known, what they find comforting even to save their own lives. So we have an uphill battle and we have to use kid gloves. I agree. You cannot change psychology overnight. I mean, look at my neurodivergence and just how much I've been doing over the last 6 to 8 months to get to where I am. I'm going to be doing some videos about that soon for you guys, but I mean, it has taken me a lot of work to just start making a difference in what has gone on in my life for the last 30 plus years. It is a slow process to change your brain. So it's very, very important that we treat people with respect and treat them like they matter. Because if we just tell them what's wrong with them and make them try to come to our level, the reason we're doing that is because we feel superior and we're going to set the expectation that they be like us. It's a very subtle way of taking our own pride and arrogance and weaponizing it against people. It makes us feel good about ourselves from a human standpoint, the dark side of humanity. That's what that is. And if you don't have enough introspective ability to look at yourself and say, I got to stop treating people this way if I want to help people, you're part of the problem. Me fighting is a long past thing. It was terrible. We're good now, though. What you say is here. Says, I agree with what you're saying. Well, thank you so much. Brian says, I no longer listen to the gum flappers, as Dr. Robert Saives says. I only surround myself with people that are positive and have let go of the negative people in my life. Life is a blessing. Amen to that, brother. Amen. Hey, Risa's Cluttered Kitchen is here. Hello, all. Good to see you, Risa. And she says, I'll watch what I missed on replay. That's awesome. Dustin says, fake food is so hard to get away from. It is, and that's why I try to create as many alternatives as I can. I love this. Rick says, my food is entertaining. Yes, and you can have the most carnivore diet out there and still make it entertaining and make it fun. And that's the thing. The celebration is not the problem. It's what you eat. That's what the problem is, and that's what we have to worry about fixing. But we can't do it by telling people to get rid of the celebration. That's what we got to do. And I know Rick knows this because he's actually talked about using some of my recipes, not so much for him, but for some of his friends who would still like stuff like that. And that's awesome. Jolene says, I am ketovore and celebrating my birthday this weekend and using keto alternatives for cake and ice cream with my family. Great ingredients, not junk. And that's the way we do it. I love that. Maritza says, I think recipes were written down for others to make. I love your recipes because they give me choices to get away from addiction. And that's why we share these things. The friendship and love I've experienced at celebrations with food make my heart happy. And anyone who thinks it is wrong can kiss my you-know-what. I'm right there with you, Dennis. I love it. Rick says, I've never been threatened by fake food. I love it. Dustin, being a real-life food addict, believe me, it's so very hard to avoid it 100% of the time. I'm only human. And that's the thing. We're all human. We are all human. So why would we try to act like we're not and be animals or science experiments? We're not. We're human. So let's work with our psychology instead of fighting against our psychology. And that is what's so important. And Dustin, among all of these people, he definitely knows. Icefire352, I like that name. Greetings and good morning, Chris and fellow band members. Good to see you here, Icefire. Really appreciate you being here and appreciate your support in the band. Guys, don't forget the Mighty Networks group, The Band, is linked for you. Please consider coming and joining. It is amazing and such an amazing group of people, and we just have a great time over there. Janelle says, excellent topic choice. Well done. Well, thank you. I just thought it was really important we talk about this. I've wanted to for a while, but just kind of had to collect my thoughts so that I could really, really express why this matters so much to me, why I think it's such an important thing. Let's see. Dustin says, I agree, though we know society is structured for people to have almost zero time to meal prep or make real food. It really takes dedication, and a lot of people these days do not have the time. I agree, and that's part of the thing. That's why we have to work to change the system as well, and that's going to be a slow process. I understand, Dustin. Right there with you. Let's see. Sing it. That basically sums up what he's been talking about for minutes now. Agreed. You said it, not me. Dustin, people working 8 hours jobs, which is more like 10 or 11 hours with commute, overtime, getting kids from daycare, after school activities, housework, cooking gets put on the back burner and it turns into fast food. Absolutely. And that's why we got to figure out how to help people and fight against that. Holly, someone offers me sweets. My 5-year-old grandson says, you can't eat that. It makes your sugar too high. Isn't that cool, though, that a 5-year-old is learning? That's how we change a little at a time. Let's see. Deanna, cut it out, honey, and be sweet. Yes, IO, I'm not wanting to be your enemy or anything. We want you around and we want you to be sweet, but you got to look at other people like people that are respectable and worthy of help, and not just compare how they're different than you and call them irrational for not seeing it. It's important how you're going to treat them. Anne, great message, great communicator, and great cook. Oh, Anne, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Always be kind. What a great name based on our conversation today. Says hi. Good to see you, my friend. Barbara is here. Grandma Duck. I like that. My best childhood memories all involve food. Family gatherings, the yearly fair, road trips, etc. Choosing the right foods now is the only thing that will change for me. I love that. Kara says I'm great. It's my 50th birthday today. Well, happy birthday, Kara. I got a pumpkin keto cheesecake ready in my fridge for tonight. I feel fantastic. 135 pounds and many inches lost. Could not feel better. Kara, happy birthday, and I am so proud of you. And that right there is a great example. We're going to have a pumpkin cheesecake, pumpkin keto cheesecake ready to go, and we can celebrate while putting better things in our body. It's amazing. Risa, meal prep is the only way I can get through the week. I have 3 days off this week, and every day I'm going to do some meal prep to make next week easier. I have 6 to 8 hour shifts next week, and that's what we do. We just make it work. And it's hard sometimes, so. And Swanky Liz is here. I totally agree with you. We socialize over food. Yep, I agree. Dennis says there's nothing wrong with variety, and your recipes provide healthy options. Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that. Lanny, morning, Chris. How to respond when my friends say, but you need to eat fiber? Lanny, is a good question. So fiber is not an essential nutrient, and there are thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people that are now reporting all of their issues. Like, for example, me, IBS. I have IBS. When I took fiber out of my diet, all my IBS stuff got better. So fiber is just roughage going through your gut that you can't digest. We can't ferment that and break it down the way something like a cow can. We don't have a multi-chambered stomach to do that. So fiber is not an essential nutrient. Now, if you find that it makes you feel better to have some, sure. But when you take it out, it actually makes things like IBS, diverticulitis, Crohn's, like all of these things going on down in the gut area, it actually makes all that better for a lot of people. And you can find studies out there that actually show Fiber's not really necessary. So, all of the carnivores that eat zero fiber in the world, I have a little bit from time to time, but it's not necessarily a daily thing for me. But all of the people out there that have no fiber ever, and they have excellent bowel movements and bowel health, it just kind of goes to show it's not a necessary thing. That is very old information that people are relying on. So you can find the studies, Google it, and you'll find a bunch of stuff that it's like, nope, you don't need fiber. Crow is here. Good morning, Crow. Good to see you, my friend. Dustin says, think about life, food, death, food, win, food, loss, food. We use food to move life forward. I agree. We absolutely do. And Arlene is here. Hi, Chris from Satellite Beach, Florida. Thanks for this supportive conversation. Well, thank you so much. I was catching up and missed the part emphasizing proper ingredients. Didn't mean to sound argumentative like that. No problem. No problem. We're on the same wavelength now. Appreciate it. Hugo says, by the way, love your butter mayo recipe. I'd only emphasize how careful one should be to get it emulsified from the start. Otherwise, it can break. I did a few drops at a time, and it worked perfect, Hugo. Yeah, emulsifications are weird things, but if you just take care of them from the very beginning and be real careful right at the beginning, you're good to go. Marie is here. Small victory. Today is day 13 on carnivore after a 4-month fall off the wagon. Your self-rescue kit and emergency reset kit was very helpful. Thank you. Marie, that is not a small victory, my friend. That's a big one. That's a big victory. Getting off of that fall off the wagon track can be very difficult. And I'm really glad that rescue kit and emergency reset kit has helped you. I'm so proud of you. You're doing great. Keep at it, and we're here for you. And if you need extra support, that's why we have the band. So you got a whole community of people in there. So, but feel free to come to the live streams, interact in the community. That's why we're all here. So, let's see. I think we're just about done with comments here. Jay Ennis, I've been pretty quiet about what and how I eat and have been to celebrations without condemning others for their choices. This will give them opportunity in the future to ask me what I'm doing to improve. And that is what Dr. Berry would call setting the quiet example. And I think that's fun. Fantastic. What a cool way to silently, in ninja tactics, as he would say, work to help people change their lives. Hugo says, happy that I can offer something healthy for my family that's not laden with seed oils, such as the butter mayo. That was the last straw of seed oil use that I wasn't able to replace until now. I love that. Sorry, Chris, I'm Dina. Dina, okay. My apologies. Listen, I'm a redneck from Southeast Indiana. I don't know how to pronounce anybody's names. Dina. Cool. Dustin says, I'm here to help people get where they need to be, not where I think they should be. Amen, brother. Preach it louder. Say it louder for those in the back. Marissa says, don't forget the other channel Chris has, Chris Cooking Nashville Studios. Yes, I have that channel that we are slowly growing. So if you don't subscribe there and you like this kind of stuff, make sure to go over there and like and subscribe. Risa says, I'm making butter mayo later today. Run out of mayo. I love it. And let's see. Io says the recipes are amazing. Well, thank you. Risa's got to go. Says she'll watch the rest later. Risa, have an amazing day. And Hugo says, I personally don't need anything other than ruminant meat and salt for my tastes as I don't get bored, but I'm accepting that others are not like me and need variety, and that's fine. And that's it. We just have to be accepting of that. Meet them where they are and try to move them in a direction that's better for them, whatever that looks like. Whether it meets with our expectations or not is irrelevant, right? We just want to be able to support people and see them improve their lives and just help them with tools along the way. I think it's great, Hugo. Brian, life is a celebration regardless of what you're eating. I surround myself with like-minded people and my life is improved. There you go, Brian. That's how we do it. The chromosome carnivore, exactly, Chris. Whichever point I made must have been a good one. And your brilliant waffles chaffles keep me from diving face first in a bread basket. I love it, Ann. I love it. And Hugo says, each time I eat, it's a unique experience, even if I try to keep everything the same. That particular animal, cuts, brining process, freshness, etc. makes it taste different every time. I love that. And when you get really deep down into it, you really start to understand that you can experience novelty and celebration in lots of subtle things, and that's moving in that direction of being healthier and healthier all the time, right? It's really cool. Shanna is here. I mean, food has always actually been a part of celebration. It just happened to be meat. Look at the 30,000-year-old cave paintings of hunting. That is culture and celebration of eating and hunting meat. Absolutely. Got to have those two things simultaneously because it's just what makes us human. We Network is here. Says, hi, everybody. Hello, my friend. Chromosome Carnivore, neurodivergent here. I spelled that one. Hey, Chris, what's your personality? Just curious. I'm an INTP. I know it's a bit off subject. I've actually never done the Myers-Briggs personality type, so I don't actually know what I am. I know about it a little bit, but I've never actually done the personality quiz. So I don't know for sure. We Network. I'm taking orders for next month's shipment of Carniquick Carnivore baking mix. Just add eggs. Okay, we're not going to use a live stream to promote products. That's not what we're here for. So, thank you. Let's see. We're just about caught up here. Angus, your recipes opened a whole new world up. My mother was a diabetic, and helping her leave starches behind has been very hard for her. But we got there. Excellent. She is no longer diabetic, and the doctors have been very impressed with her weight loss. I suspect they agree with carnivore and keto, but don't dare say so. Rock on, Angus. I'm so glad to hear that. What an amazing, amazing thing to be able to help your mom that way. That's so fantastic. Good for you. Janelle says ingredients in vegan meat is scary. It is, yeah. All right, we're going to try to get through the last few here. My grandparents went through the Great Depression. They taught me to make it work no matter why. Just make it work. I've applied that role to every aspect of my life. Just make it work. I love it. Barbara is here. Says, oh, let's see. We already talked to Barbara, didn't we? Hey, Barbara. I didn't recognize your name. I'm seeing too many names. I'm losing my mind. Says, here in Canada, Thanksgiving is in the middle of October, and I've already planned our Thanksgiving dinner with a few tweaks for me so that I can celebrate as usual with my family. I love that. I love that. There's Jerry in the middle of the forest, listening while in the tanning bed, fake and bake. Jerry, that's fantastic. I'm glad you're listening. Thanks for tuning in. Janelle says, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, everybody. Please do so. And Dina says, I'm from Louisville, hence the weird name. Well, that's all right. I'm from just a little bit north of you. Let's see. Oh, there's Jackie. Good morning from the Pacific Northwest. Missed the beginning, but wanted to add insight I had when nursing my babies. Food is comfort from day one, designed that way by God. I agree. And Bassin Ducks is here. Random question. Can whey protein and whey protein isolate be interchanged in your recipes? Day 30 on carnivore for me, feeling great. Losing some weight, blood pressure under control. Thanks for what you do. Well, you're very welcome. And to answer your question, maybe. It depends on the recipe. So whey protein concentrate has more of the dairy, carb, and fat left in it. It's traces, but it's a little bit more. The isolate has almost all of that removed. So isolate is drier and gets crispier. Concentrate is a little softer. So in my recipe, if I'm not saying isolate specifically, what I'm probably using is concentrate, but when I first started using it, I wasn't really sure of the difference or how it would affect the recipes necessarily. So on some of them, you have to use isolate, and on the others, I use the concentrate. So if I say isolate or concentrate specifically, it's because you need that one in the recipe. If I'm not saying one or the other, it's because I was using concentrate. So I actually have both in my pantry, and I use it depending on which recipe I'm making. It's a great question. Sing It says, thank you for this. Stopped listening to others because I felt bullied for having sweet taste buds. This was brilliant. You're welcome, Sing It. And listen, you're not alone. So don't let anybody mess with you. So you're doing great. Janelle is really good. Yeah, the isolate makes baked goods too dry much of the time. It can work, but not optimal. And it depends on which of my recipes you're doing. But yeah, if I don't specify, use concentrate. And if I do specify, you'll have to use whichever one it says because it'll throw it off texture wise without using the right one. So Jackie, having had a lifetime of struggling with emotional eating, I tried very hard to offer hugs and love and comfort first, and nursing as well. It's a whole divinely created package of emotional support. Amen, Jackie. I love you, sister. Yep, you're right. Absolutely love that. Brian, Monday Live is a great way to start the week. I will always start the week with a smile. Thank you, Chris. Brian, you helped me start the week with a smile, so thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And thanks, Rick in North Carolina. Well, you're welcome, Rick. All right, guys, we are caught up, and we're about a little bit of half an hour past 11. So we're going to go ahead and call it for the day. I wanted to tell you very quickly, I'm going to start doing my shred updates because if you have not been following along, I have my my video about autism and ADHD and OCD and all of the neurodivergent stuff, right? So I talked about that. Part of getting my brain back under control has now been the ability to dive in on this carnivore shred. And I'm actually leaning keto certain days just because I can, because I'm experimenting right now, but most of it's carnivore stuff. And I'm doing this shred protocol. And I'm almost 20 pounds down in the first like 3 weeks here. So really, really great. I'm feeling a lot better. Ash will tell you how much of a difference it is making, but I had to get my brain in the right place first. And once I did, all of this became so much easier for me to really approach. So I'm going to be talking about that on the channel. I'm going to be doing some simple videos discussing that, and I'll tell you my protocol, how I'm doing it. If you want to try it, cool. I'm not going to give any medical advice or suggest anyone do it. I'll just tell you what I'm doing, how I came up with it, and you can decide if that's something you're interested in. So that's coming up. Make sure to go check out ashtaylor.com because we have a bunch of cool stuff going on there. And the first Wednesday of every month, we go live on her channel for Ash Wednesdays. We'd love to see you over there, so come hang out. I think it's going to be really, really cool. So, guys, I really appreciate you watching. I hope that this has been helpful and maybe gives you just an idea of how to look at food as celebration in a healthy way so that we don't have to just be one or the other. We're not animals, we're not science experiments, we're human beings, and food is part of our culture. We just need to make it healthy. And I think that this is a really important topic that we all need to work together to use to help other people. And if you're one of those people that it's like, I eat steak and salt and I'm good, that's amazing. And I'm so happy for you and proud of you for that. Just don't beat other people up if they don't do the same, or if they can't do the same, or if they don't understand it right now. Just be kind. Help people understand. So, and there's Janelle dropping in ashtaylor.com for you guys. Please go over there. You can find all of her stuff. And you can find her social media, her YouTube channel, her Facebook page, her Instagram. You're going to find everything there. She has a community called The Bad Ashes where they get behind the scenes sneak peeks of everything, all kinds of stuff. So please go check that out. Subscribe to her. She's amazing and she deserves all the subscribes and likes. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Keep an eye on everything. Join the band if you want to see what's coming up in the future because we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff. And I also have a brand new channel called That Chris, which is a whole bunch of stuff. Neurodivergence, living life joyfully, all of this. And not about food. Might be a small part of it in there, but it's not really going to be about food. It's going to be about living life joyfully. So if you like stuff like this, go subscribe to That Chris. Janelle's dropping stuff in the chat. Maybe she could drop that in there. And once this video is over, I'll go put that YouTube channel in the description box as well. Come over if you like joyful living and you want to see the quirkiness of my neurodivergent life and all the things that I just love to do. Me on a silver platter kind of thing. That's what that channel is going to be. So come over and subscribe, and I'll be starting to post videos there like real soon. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So I appreciate all of you guys being here. Thank you so much for your support. Go out and find some people that you guys can support, right? Go find the people that are struggling. Help them understand that they are worth it, that they are valuable, that they can change their lives one small step at a time, and just be the difference. Let's work together as a community and let's change the world and let's really help people see how much this low carb lifestyle can do. It doesn't have to be a little small cult. It's it's really important that we all work together. Let's see. Janelle wants to, or Jackie is asking if we can drop the link for that, Chris. Let me actually just pull it up. I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat for you guys. So hang out with me just 2 seconds. Let me just drop my That Chris channel in there. And let's see. Sorry, my computer is being a little slow, but we're getting there. There it is. All right. Let me go here, and I'm going to grab that. Come over here, and there it is. All right, there you go, guys. That is the That Chris channel. And yeah, Janelle said it's not coming up, probably because I haven't posted anything and YouTube doesn't really know what that channel is just quite yet. So guys, go over and subscribe. I'll have some videos coming soon if you like stuff like that. If you don't want to watch it, don't subscribe because then it'll just kill my algorithm. So, but if you want to see joyful life and fun and quirkiness and all that stuff, go over there and subscribe and be ready to watch those videos. They'll be popping up. So guys, thank you for being here. I love you guys. I love getting to do this with you, and it's truly an honor to have this community behind me, and let's work together and let's go change the world and let's be kind to people in the process. So we thank you all so much for being here. We'll see you at Ash Wednesdays, if not before, and for the next recipe video on Saturday. It's going to be a good one. All right. We'll catch you guys later. This is Chris cooking Nashville. You guys remember, eat your meat, love your life, and celebrate a little bit with your food as long as it's the right ingredients. And I'll see you guys back here on Monday mornings for Monday Morning Motivation, 10 a.m. Central Time, and down in the kitchen for a bunch of crazy recipe videos and maybe over on That Chris. Bye, guys. Have a great rest of your week.